All right. This is episode 5 Trick or Treat Review podcast. I'm Kayman Coons.
I'm Owen Ziegler.
And we're going to get started like we usually do with our fun topics for today. We got King Kong versus Godzilla. There's some speculation, at least, with the future installments of the King Kong Godzilla franchise. This next King Kong's Skull Island is the sequel. And it seems
the prequel.
Or the prequel, yeah. And so they'll be leading up to more characters. And then the Godzilla movies are currently leading up to Rodan,
Mothra,
and then King Ghidorah.
Yeah,
and
who's the best?
Dude, we get to
the
see
best
a
of
mecha
them.
King Ghidorah. I'll freaking lose my stuff.
Absolutely.
That'll be freaking sick.
King Ghidorah is the coolest.
He's pretty great. In general, I'm just excited to see, these characters brought into this new Godzilla universe. I mean,
absolutely.
There's so much they can do, and I feel like they're being really creative lately. And the
first Godzilla, Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. People make the mistake of because I've heard this tired fucking argument so many times of they didn't show enough Godzilla. Where's Godzilla? Blah blah blah.
I thought his reveal was perfect.
I thought his reveal was perfect.
I thought it was amazing.
I was super into every time I saw Godzilla. I saw just enough Godzilla in that movie. I felt like I was like any more would have been too much. Any less would have been too less. I felt like it was just the right amount of Godzilla for a Godzilla movie because people don't seem to know that this Godzilla film was made in the spirit of the original 1950s version, where you also saw you saw Godzilla that equally as much, if not less, in that movie. Yeah. It was Godzilla, or that Godzilla, like old 1950s Godzilla, is not about Godzilla. Godzilla is a metaphor.
Yeah.
He is a metaphor for the characters to discuss and be afraid of. Yeah. He's not the focus of the movie. I know the movie's called Godzilla, but that's just to bring people in, That's just like, oh, Godzilla, that sounds fucking radical.
That being said, this new Godzilla, the only fault I had for it was its characters we were going through. Played by great actors, who were paired again later in Age of Ultron. The guy from Kick-Ass. And
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
And Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, both paired up again.
They had very good excuses for being in the middle of the action, though.
Yeah, very good excuses.
Like, this guy was in the Marines or the Navy or whatever. Like, he's in the Army. Yeah. He's doing armed forces stuff, and he knows how to defuse bombs. Yeah. So, he has a reason to be here. And he also has an emotional connection to this because he wants to do this for his dad.
Yeah, which brings me to my funny point is people always complain about how there's not enough Godzilla in Godzilla 1. And I was like, there wasn't enough Bryan Cranston in Godzilla 1. We should have seen way more.
They were honeydicking.
What the hell?
They were honeydicking not Godzilla, Bryan Cranston much.
More than they were Godzilla.
Yeah, they were like, look who we got Bryan Cranston in this movie. Look, Bryan Cranston.
Wow.
I was like, oh, dude, Bryan Cranston. They showed Bryan Cranston more than they did Aaron Taylor Johnson. So when people complain that Aaron Taylor Johnson's in this movie and not Bryan Cranston, it's not necessarily because I'm almost positive that it's not because they didn't really like his performance. It's because they felt betrayed to and lied, and I can't fault them for that. Yeah. Hating Aaron Taylor Johnson being in this movie,
I didn't hate
because of that reason, because of the reason of them being lied to. Yeah. I can kind of see where they're coming from. But I still didn't feel like Aaron Taylor Johnson was a bad protagonist. No. I thought his performance was still really...
I just don't think he was written well. I think as far as protagonist goes...
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's not perfect,
Yeah, I mean... but the thing is there were points where I was like, I liked what he was doing, and I liked the point of, where he was. But I did want to see more. I felt like I was only getting the short end of the stick.
They established who he is and what the stakes of the situation was, but he didn't have that much of an arc. Yeah, at all. He didn't change. Yeah, it's like they established who he was and why we should care about him, but he didn't really change.
Nor did his wife or anything. All the characters. Yeah. Except the only character I really feel had an arc was Bryan Cranston's character.
And then he dies. Spoiler alert: he dies 30 minutes into the movie.
A little shorter than that, almost.
20 minutes.
He seriously, it's really early in the
film. And honestly, he is, the best performance in the film. So it's you kill off your best performance within the first 20 minutes.
Thank God the fucking monsters were so well done.
Because the Mutos were cool.
Yeah, they were.
And Ken Watanabe actually picks up some of the slack that Bryan Cranston leaves once once Bryan Cranston dies, you're like, what performance am I going to be interested in? Ken Watanabe, because he's super cool.
He's super cool. The only downside is
his "Let Them Fight" speech is amazing. Really, I love that stuff.
My only downside to him was that he was another character that I wanted to see more of. And
They also kind of let him fall to the wayside as well.
Like, I thought we were going to get a payoff because he was really mysterious, and I was like, oh, where are they going to go with this? And then we didn't really find out.
But I love how they set that up. I love how they set up the fact that the first Godzilla movie has already kind of happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we were trying to kill it. Like, that skeleton you found was like of the first like Godzilla. This is like a new one.
It's very interesting.
And the way that they like play into that, and like, you know, the Japanese history like with the bomb and stuff like that. Godzilla's a goddamn metaphor. Okay, he's a metaphor for nuclear war.
Yeah.
And he's a metaphor for like what happens when you when you try and tamper with nature and when you try to play God.
Yeah.
You know, you try to play God with this new technology that you have. He's symbolic of also the fact that in this film, which I think is really well done, this moment especially, they go to the army guy, right? Yeah. Ken Watanabe's talking with the army guy, and the army guy's like, hey, there's this big fucking monster, and there's these monsters all over. You know what? What if they're all converging on this one location? I'm just gonna nuke it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like he immediately goes to a nuke. Immediately he jumps to 11. He's like, I'm gonna nuke it. Just immediately. Not taking into account civilian casualties, not taking into, like, you know, the biological aspect of these creatures, and the fact that Ken Watanabe's like, no, they're gonna love that shit because they feed off of it. I know this because this is my research. I know about this. And then he's just like, no, fuck you. We're gonna make the situation worse because the real antagonists of the film are actually the military.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So like that's the whole allegory. That's the whole point.
Oh yeah.
Is that we're like. Militaries are, you know, they always jump to a fucking nuke when shit hits the fan, you know, as much as it is in Godzilla.
And kind of the whole like you sowed your own destruction and civilization kind of thing when you react that violently and just in general.
Just let them fight.
Let them fight.
Let them fight. Let the winner is just gonna go away and he's not gonna.
Seasons are gonna change as well, like in the sense of people, like bad things are gonna happen. Nature's gonna do its thing, and like there are some things that we just can't control, and it's like. Let's just change our society, sure.
And it looked like the special effects in that movie looked absolutely great. Like Godzilla, great design of Godzilla. And
laser to the freaking mouth.
Oh, because they built up to the atomic breath too. They didn't. Gareth Edwards doesn't play his cards too early. He's like, he has the atomic breath, but I'm gonna use it later. I'm not gonna open with the atomic breath.
It looked amazing.
I'm not gonna open with the tailspin. Either.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna build up to those things, and those things are gonna be super important because they're gonna kill both the Mutos.
Dude, that was
was fantastic.
Those were some amazing moments. Truly, like that.
Everyone in the theater got hype when those happened.
I lost my shit. I was like, yes, finally, God, I wanted it.
I remember
it was the build up was great, and the reveal was equally as good.
One of the greatest moments I've ever had in a movie theater is when. After he did the tailspin and thwacked that Muto into a building, like stabbing him on like the shit sticking out of the building, some guy in front of me went, "Motherfucker!"
Oh my god, that's so great. That's so awesome.
I just thought it was really funny.
That's fantastic. So next topic to kind of continue on the train, the hot costumes for the CW show. Photos just came out with Hawk Girl,
and they look pretty damn good.
So, am I to believe this Hawk series is going to take place in?
Well, it's not. It's part of the Legends of Tomorrow, and they're probably going to also appear in the Flash because like they showed a shot of Hawk Girl like walking down the street at the end of the last episode in season 1.
Okay.
Which you have not seen yet. I would actually recommend that you see it.
I'm gonna have to start watching it
because Flash actually ends on a really good note. Like the show starts out really strong and then it kind of it fluctuates. It's the Saints Row 3 of comic book shows. Of like it has moments of brilliance and then it just stops being cool for a while. For every Reverse Flash episode, which is super cool. All the Reverse Flash storyline in that is hands down the greatest storyline in that show.
Yeah.
But for every episode focusing on that cool stuff, you get Flash King sings karaoke episode. where for the majority of the episode is Barry Allen and Caitlin Snow going to a bar and singing karaoke and hitting on guys and girls. That is the majority of the episode. And I'm like, don't you have... I know, it's like, I know you want to have an excuse to have Grant Gustin sing because his claim to fame is that he was on Glee, but like, you can find other ways to do that. Like, come on, you don't have to devote an entire episode to, hey, we got this guy from Glee, remember? Like, I don't care.
That sounds so much like something CW would do, though.
They would do that.
So the CW is, that's the, when people are like, oh no, you're not influenced by what TV network you're on. Oh, really? No, you can see the difference. In CW shows, you see the difference. They pander.
I think Glee was on CW.
No, Glee was on Fox. Glee was on Fox.
No, I think they moved it to CW, though.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think they did for, like, the last few seasons.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know anything about the last few seasons.
Because it wasn't on Fox for a while, but it was still going.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure it was on the CW.
Man, you thought...
Somebody's going to fact check that. I like listening to this. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that's, like, where they found him.
Yeah. Well, either way, those two networks will do things.
But it's like, I don't know. The show got good in the end. It just became, like, the middle of it became unfocused. But they have the balls to put in other, like, lesser-known Flash villains and also, like, Firestorm. They introduced the character of Firestorm, who's actually really well done and actually really well performed by the two guys. You know, because it's two people. There's, like, the scientist in his head and then also... guy, whatever his name is, I can't remember, but he's not bad, and he's actually really well done. It's a pretty good show. I'd say it's worth taking a look at. Yeah, much more than Arrow is.
That's for sure.
Because Arrow Arrow's another conversation entirely, but I think The Flash has much more going for it. Well, another reason for that is that Jeff Jones is working on The Flash.
Yeah.
And Jeff Jones is like the reason DC has not
fallen off the deep end.
Yeah, has not fallen off the deep end is because Jeff Jones has good ideas.
That's true.
And other people like follow his example.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to watch it. I'm super interested to see what they did with the characters.
Some of it's not that bad.
And it has the possibility of having a really good future.
And I told you before that, like, my dad and I who watched The Flash together, we were like, you know what? Neither Arrow nor The Flash have actually surprised us with any of their... I feel like their season arcs are way too predictable. There's been no twists or turns, at all. And then out of, like, as if on cue, the final episode of The Flash was like, oh, really? Well, here's a couple of twists for you. And I was like, oh, fair enough. I didn't see a few of those things coming. So that's actually... I got to give credit where credit is due. You ended on a pretty good note.
Hey, that's good. You gotta end strong on first seasons. You know?
Yeah, the Hawk costumes. I knew they had a Hawk girl. I didn't know they had a Hawk man, but I like that they're both here, and I like that they're doing the whole, like, they're married kind of thing, or they're together. You know, they're seeing each other.
Cool. That's
and they're in Legends of. They're building up that roster for Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm actually more excited for Legends of Tomorrow and what CW has to offer more than Batman v Superman.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I'm way more excited about the CW DC universe than the cinematic one.
How the hell does that always happen? Smallville comes out, right?
Yeah.
Fucking amazing show, really good, gets me really excited to see what they'll do with Superman. Freaking Superman Returns comes out. And it's just like...
Superman Returns.
There's so much to say.
It's probably one of the most disappointing films ever.
And potential was there.
Potential was super there.
Potential was goddamn there.
The only thing more disappointing than Superman Returns was Man of Steel.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because it's like, how is that possible? Like,
how can you be more disappointing than Superman Returns?
I was so just shocked at, like, it was like, do you even know who he is? Like, did you read Superman? Where did you come up with this bullshit? Like, it was just...
We'll be talking about this more later with another topic that we have
to come. Anywho, so moving on though, we got the Akira film live action version to be directed by Christopher Nolan, or possibly rumored
that Nolan is going to be involved somehow with
and
this.
It's going to be a trilogy. Is the new
really?
Yeah,
I didn't hear that trilogy. That's kind of cool.
It was initially going to be a 2-parter, and then was bounced around by a lot of directors, and then came to Nolan, and they're going to go ahead and do a trilogy with it.
I think Nolan can really pull this off.
It'll be interesting. I'm curious to see. It's gonna take place in New York City.
Because like with kind of like the Inception kind of like floaty like powers. Because that's like
I can see. Here's the thing, Nolan will definitely subtly be able to put in some visualizations that are going to represent Akira really well.
Yeah, like the Inception special effects would look really good in an Akira movie. Is what I'm saying.
The thing about that film that I think stands out more than anything else is the amount of anger you feel. You truly feel this like just this constant rush of like forward energy, and like I would only really describe it as like anger. And I don't know if I can see Nolan capturing such a raw emotion. The animation did it justice, did the story a lot of justice with what it was able to capture. And so I will be excited to see how they do it, and I will definitely go see it, but it does piss me off that it's going to be a trilogy. I think that's milking the genre. I don't think that's respecting the storyline.
It's like The Hobbit.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, The Hobbit at least is like longer.
They had two good films, but then the third one was so bad that it ruined the other two.
Well, I think Hobbit I can understand having a trilogy for, because it's really long and like you can go into a lot of detail.
It's not as long as Fellowship. Fellowship is a bigger book than The Hobbit.
That's true.
And that was one movie.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and they did it really well.
It's the smallest. I think it's the smallest among all of the Lord of the Rings books.
It is.
And they made 3 movies out of it.
Yeah.
And the first 2 weren't bad. The first 2 I actually really enjoyed, but then the third one was so damn disappointing. And just here's the thing about that is that Return of the King was so good that it made the other 2 better. And it's the exact opposite for Battle of the Five Armies. Here's the thing about Return of the King. Return of the King is we have to beat this guy or he will kill everyone. Mm-hmm. Sauron will fucking lay waste to everything and everyone will die.
Yeah.
That's some stakes. Everyone is gonna die. And they've been building that up for 2 other movies.
Yeah.
Battle of the Five Armies is people are fighting over money. Yeah. I am not as invested. And then they have super rushed explanations for why people want this money.
Well,
because the townspeople need to pay for the damages that Smaug caused, and then the elves want it because they like money, or some of that money is theirs.
Yeah, and
I guess.
And
but
and the doors like yeah. No, here's the thing: is like, and this is gonna be the problem whenever you do a franchise and then a prequel afterwards. But it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be Hobbit first, then Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And the reason is because Lord of the Rings upped the stakes by a lot. This is like, The Hobbit was like, ooh, like there are so many mysterious things in this world. What a great introduction to beautiful, interesting things, and maybe a big battle. The Hobbit is like the first D&D campaign you play. Lord of the Rings is the campaigns you play after that one. It's the one where it's like, okay, yeah, 5,000 years ago,
happens.
Okay, fucking history became like fucking lore, which became myth, and like no one fucking believed this shit anymore, and it's all like lies and slander and whatever. And then it's like, oh crap, this is real. The ring's real. Like all this stuff is happening, and like every freaking time, like it gets bigger, and you really feel it, and it's done really well. And
I can understand The Hobbit being maybe 2 movies, maybe. Because of the added lore that they added to it, with like Azog actually being around instead of him just being mentioned.
I just think if they were gonna do anything, I mean, like you have to do, if you're doing like a prequel to a movie, like Lord of the Rings, you know, instead of what was supposed to be the first. I think you just need to do more focus on the big bad, because it all has to eventually lead there, obviously. And you know, I mean, there's only so much you can say. You know, Lord of the Rings 1, 2, and 3 really kind of also establishes the past decently well. You don't have to go in knowing The Hobbit. They establish all that pretty
They had
well.
like one clip about The Hobbit in Fellowship where he found the ring and Gollum like screamed or something, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
sure, that's fine.
Yeah, it was like this all fits pretty well. Like
I get it.
That's what was important to now. Like I didn't really need to know the other shit.
That's like the important thing that happened in The Hobbit that sets up Lord of the Rings. Yay! Now that's all you need to know.
Yeah, and like Darkness Rising. Well, the movie does that itself by establishing Darkness Rising. So I just think it's really hard to follow. But the first 2 films did really well. And
our point is that Akira shouldn't be stretched into 3 damn movies.
It really should.
And then it's gonna fall slave to Hobbit syndrome.
Yeah, which I hope doesn't happen. The next topic we just got word The Incredibles 2 script is 3/4 of the way done
from Brad Bird.
Yeah, and here's the thing is, there are two things here. A, it's always good to hear someone who's really behind the wheel on things and doing what they're doing and saying, yeah, we're 3/4 done. When they say something like that, you're like, okay, progress has been made, and it feels like y'all are like really taking time into it.
Awesome.
The only thing that is peculiar about it is I'm really wondering when it was that they started writing the script.
Yeah, that's fair. That is very fair.
Because we didn't really see a green light on Incredibles 2 for quite some time. It was a while till we saw like hey, it's happening. Incredibles 2 is definitely happening. There was talk, and it was like maybe like rumored, and then it was like, nope, it's for sure happening. And that wasn't too long ago that we heard that. Yeah. So it makes you wonder if they greenlit the project because like
if Brad Bird was working on it, but then he stopped doing it because he was doing other things like Ghost Protocol and Tomorrowland and whatnot. Yeah. And like when did he start writing this, and when did you start writing it after all that stuff? Yeah. Were you writing it kind of on and off? Like, I don't know.
And that being said, just in general, while I'm super excited to see these characters.
Oh yeah. If any Pixar movie ever deserves a sequel, it's Incredibles. Yeah, that is the only one. Finding Dory, fuck off. Yeah. I'm not into that. Because for one big reason. How do you make a sequel to a movie where something was lost and found? Yeah. That is the arc. What, did you lose it again? Yeah. Like, what?
You didn't learn the first time.
You didn't learn the first time, and now none of you, like, you don't know what to do now? Because you were lost, but, like, I know it's a different person, like, Dory's being lost now, but, like, what? Like, I thought you're...
And fish don't live that long, by the way. Yeah. One of them is dead by now, right? Anyway.
Oh, yeah, but, like, her short-term memory loss was supposed to be, like, doing really well when Marlon was around,
Let me... here's what I'm going to say about this.
I don't know.
Incredibles 1 and Toy Story I view on a very same playing field. And Toy Story 2, which, saw in theaters, fucking loved it as a kid. It was so amazing in theaters. And Incredibles 2 really has the opportunity to be what Toy Story 2 was.
Establish more. This is a world of toys. Oh, there's more stuff. Like, what if we told this about... What if the antagonist was a collector of rare toys and Woody's a rare toy? Yeah. Like, that's interesting. I can get behind that.
Like, more of the Buzz Lightyear thing with...
what if they go into an actual toy store?
Yeah, how great. It's so well
done. That was such a cool sequence.
And then the traffic cones and the freaking road they were, like, under, and they were, like... There are just so many great moments.
And I thought Toy Story 3 also did a very good job. I mean, like, I know a lot of people... that there's some people that don't like Toy Story 3. And I think that's... I can see how that's fine. Because I can see how you can make the argument that they were kind of stretching it a little bit with 3. But I thought it established it real well. Because of, like... there were a lot of creative things going on in that film. You got a lot of toys that weren't, like, touched on. Like, you got the phone... character who's just like Woody picking up the phone and he's like talking to him. He's like, you gotta get out of here. Like, I thought that was really cool. And then they were gambling with like the animal sounds thing. I thought that was also really awesome how they're like gambling which like one the arrow will stop on. That's really, really cool. And then you've got like what toys in daycares do and how that dynamic plays into that. And then you've got like the Barbie and the Ken relationship, which is really funny, really, really funny. And then you have that like that clothing montage with Ken and making fun of how like materialistic the Barbie toy line is, and that's really, really fun. And then they realize how creepy the babies with the broken eyes are, and they really played into that. I thought Toy Story 3 was very, very creative, and I think. They barely scratched the surface with Incredibles, and I think they can go to so many more places with that.
They played out so many relationships between other superheroes as well in Incredibles 1 that it made me want to know more on everyone. I was like,
the Incredibles are back. Well, how other heroes start coming back too?
Yeah, and like the Freeze guy, like he was so freaking
cool. Frozone. Yeah,
Frozone. I want to know more about him. Like, tell me more.
Where is my super suit? Like, what if his wife becomes a superhero too? That'd be kind of cool.
And like, remember all when they got married and there were other superheroes at their wedding and stuff, and like
Gazerbeam was at their wedding. If you look closely.
I want to see those things. I want to see more of that. And I think they have such a great material to work with, and I'm super excited to see what they do.
They've barely scratched the surface.
Agreed.
Like, what if there's a hero, like, there's that no powers hero, like Batman or something, and they start, like, making fun of him or something like that? I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They have, like, a Justice League going on. Ooh. Like, Incredibles 2 is, like, heroes coming back, and then Incredibles 3, if they do a third one. Because I think this universe has that amount of potential. Yeah. If they do Incredibles 3, they could have, like, a Justice League then.
I think if Incredibles 2 does anything, it should take a look at Scream. And it should... Because Incredibles 1 did, in some ways, mock or mimic some of the superhero films that were out at the time and continuously going on. And I would like to see maybe a little bit more of that. Yeah, like... Talk about how there's movie group ups now and the issue with dynamics and group, but in the
maybe they have like an Incredibles comic line in that universe.
Yeah, and just like crazy interesting things. I'd love to see what they do with it.
And they're also the ballsiest of the Pixar films.
They're very ballsy.
I need to point out a few things to people who haven't noticed this. Incredibles is a Pixar film, a kids film that opens with a man committing suicide. Yeah. A man is committing suicide. I cannot stress this enough. That is huge. That is very, very ballsy for them to do that. Not only that, but you have a dead guy later on, like a straight up like skeleton of dead dude in a cave who starved and died. Like, there's so many implications to that. And like, if they keep up with that ballsy like content, I'm super into that.
Or like getting put into an airplane turbine and
dude's dead.
Dude is
super dead.
No, they're ballsy.
Like, Incredibles 1 is my favorite Pixar film.
Yeah, it's pretty
because of the style and because of the complexity of the characters. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the second one.
Hopefully just as good. Next we have the trailer for the movie Hardcore, which I got to take a look at. You showed me.
This film looks super interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with this. When you first showed me...
This is an all first-person action movie. For those of you out there that don't know. This is an all first-person... like those Freddie Wong films where it's like, this is all in first person or something like that.
Or like just GoPro videos in general of like action sequences. And I'll say, at first I was a little put off because I was like, oh, is this going to take itself that seriously? But then it came off kind of like... a bit of
jokey YouTube vibe.
Yeah, and a bit of a what I would say almost guy from Hot Fuzz, sorry, and
Edgar Wright.
An Edgar Wright feel to it at certain points where when they were jumping all over the place and kind of just having fun with it, and it felt like there was points where it looked like it really got into itself.
And one of my favorite actors ever who doesn't get enough love ever, Sharlto Copley, who I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right, main actor from District 9. I love that guy.
He's also the actor in the show
Powers.
Great show, by the way.
I really enjoy that show.
Oh my god, it was really good. We have to
it started off to kind of a rocky start, but it felt like
it got good.
It found its footing later on.
Super hard. I haven't finished it yet. I actually really
I have also not finished it. I've got maybe 4 or 5 episodes into it.
I was curious. Some of the actors in that series were...
Eddie Izzard doing an amazing job.
Eddie Izzard.
Really making a turn as like, because he like he's playing like villains now. Like in the pilot for that Munsters remake, he played the grandfather. He's like the really dark, like scary old vampire.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. I mean, they didn't make anything of it, but it was all right. It was directed by Bryan Singer. It was okay. But what else was he in? He was in Hannibal. He was a serial killer in Hannibal, and I thought that was super cool. He was super intimidating and scary. Yeah. Ooh. And like his relationship and the way that him and Hannibal played off of each other was really cool, and the way that him and Hugh Dancy's character, damn, I'm forgetting his name. Like, it's not Jack Crawford. It's Will Graham. Will Graham, also playing off of him, and like getting into the mind of his character was also really cool. And he's just playing a lot of villains now, and I think that he does a really great job in Powers.
After Powers, I was like, I'd watch pretty much anything this guy's doing right now. Like, this was really
watch his stand-up. You've told me you hadn't watched any of his stand-up. Like, he started out as a stand-up comedian.
Really?
And I don't think, like, his stuff is unbelievable. Me and Souther actually saw him live when I had like an extra ticket for my birthday. Wow. And we saw him live, and God, it was absolutely hilarious. Souther can back me up on this.
That's
like
awesome.
This dude is amazing.
Definitely have to check him out.
He talks a lot about history, and his whole thing is that like of educates you with his comedy. Like, he talks a lot about history and philosophy.
That's interesting.
And that's one of his hooks, and his other hook is his pantomime. His pantomime is absolutely hysterical. There is, in the bit where we saw him live, there was a bit where he talks about dressage, like horse dressage, where it's just like, showy kind of horse stuff, where it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing. Like, there's horse races and then there's horse dressage.
Yeah, I've heard.
And I don't even know what this is. But his pantomime of the dressage and, like, how they could make it cool is... Oh, my God. I was losing my shit. I thought I was going to... I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die. Yeah. It was so unbelievably funny. But, okay, back to hardcore. Let's talk about hardcore.
It looks futuristic. With the synthetic legs and arms.
Yeah, I'm into that. I hope they use that in kind of like
a storytelling method.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. It looks like it has some potential. I don't want this movie to be.
I'm worried
98% action, 2% everything.
I'm worried it's gonna be like an hour-and-a-half YouTube video, like a really overdrawn YouTube video,
which eventually gets old.
Which is what I was worried about with Funny or Die film, Vampires. What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a very one-note kind of joke of like, look at these silly vampires. But then it turned out to be super good and one of the best comedies I've seen in a long time. So I hope it takes that kind of route of like, they actually do a lot of creative things and they find interesting storytelling things to do in the story with it being first person and stuff like that. Ways to establish the character also with it being first person. I'm super intrigued with this. I think it could easily be bad. But I'm really interested in this.
I can get behind that. So that's we got Hardcore trailer, which just popped out. We got Jungle Book trailer. Jungle Book trailer, which I thought was really interesting because Scarlett Johansson is narrating through the trailer.
She's caught.
Yeah, and I figured that's what they were gonna do. That makes sense. And I know we had heard about it before, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Seeing it and hearing it, I felt a little, I guess, off about it.
What, her like being caught? Yeah, it sounded kind of weird to me.
It sounded because it didn't
it's
sound
not as
like
intimidating.
Tom. It sounded like Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Like, I wasn't as intimidated. I wasn't like,
It sounded like Black Widow was talking to me through a Jungle Book trailer.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like. That was weird. I thought...
On the flip side to that, you have her performance in Her, which was amazing. Yeah. So it's like, I know she can do good voice acting.
She can do great in a lot of things. She's fantastic.
Scarlett Johansson, fantastic.
She's really brought some great performances.
But it sounded, I totally see what you're saying. It's like,
sounded like it.
I'm not against her playing Ka. It's just she doesn't sound any different.
Yeah.
It's just there was no like.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see some more. Maybe that was just like a bad moment.
But we didn't see anybody else. I wanted to see Bill Murray as Baloo the bear.
That's what we're all waiting to see.
I want to see that. That's more than anything.
I think, it kind of teased at it at the end there with stuff like where he was on the river.
But I like that it's Jon Favreau because he's made something out of nothing before, and this isn't nothing. He's made a movie about a fucking board game, for Christ's sake. I actually really liked Zathura. Yeah. Zathura was not a bad film. Yeah. I've seen it like 3 times because of that. It's one of those movies that you just put on just to like watch it just to have like noise in the background because it's like it's relatively entertaining and very simple and it's just fun.
That makes sense.
And I think he can make something out of this. Iron Man was a nothing hero before he made a film out of him.
That's true.
And Iron Man 1 was actually really good.
I did like the cartoon growing up, the Iron Man cartoon.
That's true, but like he wasn't like Jon Favreau made Iron Man mainstream. So he's made something out of nothing before.
He really has.
And then Jungle Book is not nothing. So. Yeah. I'm sure he can do something with this.
The tigers, the freaking that looked intense. I was like, yeah, okay, I'd watch it, sure.
Can you look up? Cool. Actually, can you like real quick look up the cast list of this? Because there's some casting decisions that I did want to talk about, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. So just like, I remember Christopher Walken is in this. He's like the Ooby-Doo. He's that king, and I can't remember that guy's name.
Orangutan?
Yeah, he's the orangutan. Bill Murray. Ben Kingsley's Bagheera, and that's really cool.
Wow, that is really cool. King Louis. You're right, Chris.
Yeah, he's King Louis.
Wow,
and Idris Elba is Shere Khan. That's the one I was freaking out about because that is awesome.
Hey, that's really impressive.
I like this cast list.
Yeah, if I hear better stuff from Scarlett Johansson, I'll be into it. I mean, I see some good potential, and I definitely would not hate checking it out. Anywho, that's we see some more. We'll see some more soon. Hopefully.
I'm into this. We are intrigued.
I'm definitely It's definitely not what I expected. It looks a little darker. A little darker than when I was going for. But these live action fairy tale Disney films are looking a little dark, anyways.
I mean, Cinderella did use that really well.
Yeah, and I think this will do hopefully the same.
The Cinderella live action film, good start. Good start to these live action films.
I didn't see it yet. I haven't seen it yet. Is it?
I thought it's really worth checking out.
All right, I'll
it's surprising. It's better than you would think.
I'll check it out. Next up, we got Jenna Coleman leaving.
Finally. I've had enough of fucking Clara.
It's interesting because
she had a good run for season 8. Like for season 8 was not bad. Season 7 fucking garbage except for like 1 or 2 episodes. Yeah. I mean, one being the Neil Gaiman episode because fucking Neil Gaiman. Yeah. And it's that cool like theme park episode.
Yeah,
But season 8 was fine. Like, her character actually had some stuff in that season, and her relationship with Danny Pink was super interesting, but, like, just leave. You and Moffat need to leave for this show to continue, because Moffat is super unfocused and, like, putting way more effort into Sherlock than he is Doctor Who, and it's very evident by the quality of the writing.
Well, and this is the other thing that I feel is, like, I think it's not just... Claire. I think it is the fact, or Claire, I think it's the fact that it's another human companion, another human female companion, and I think that
we've had enough of those.
We've had enough. That's tired.
Let's have another alien companion.
Because they keep trying to write it to where it's like, how will you care about this character now? What's the mystery behind this one? And it's like, you shouldn't have to create some stupid plot-filled mystery to make me care about the companion. I should care because a companion should be interesting and relatable. I should be like, this is an everyday person. This person goes through what I go through every day.
That was Rory.
Yeah, exactly. That was Rory.
Rory's my favorite companion because he goes through a really cool arc. Like, you see him being like, oh, this is weird, and then he becomes a super badass later on when he steps up to the plate.
He's so cool.
He steps up to the plate and, like, guards the fucking Pandorica.
And then in Man Goes to War.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm the last Centurion. And then it's like, yeah, Rory Williams is a badass. Who knew? Like, fucking awesome.
They did great with that. And
Amy's not bad either. I just like Rory more.
Amy's great too. I just wish that I didn't have to sit through plot stuff to care about a character. Like, I think it would have been so interesting had it been like a character specifically from the 1800s. When that's what I thought was going on, I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, from a different time period.
Because we see too many modern time periods. Why can't I see a girl from a different time period?
A time from too many characters from our time period and from our planet.
And it's just like,
can we have another seen it? Like a character that's from another time period or from another planet?
In general, I mean, it's just, we've talked about it before. They just need some fresh blood on this.
People need to leave.
They need to get the Daredevil writers.
They do need to get the Daredevil writers. Or Mark Gatiss needs to take over because he writes like, one episode.
Yeah, that's right.
He like barely writes any episodes, and his episodes are actually really good.
Yeah, that's
and I'm interested to see like what, because he writes for Sherlock too, so it's like we know he can do stuff.
Really good, yeah.
And I don't think he's as involved in Sherlock as Moffat is. Like, he's like the Matt Stone, while Stephen Moffat's like the Trey Parker.
Yeah.
Like, because Trey Parker does more than Matt Stone does, but Matt Stone's still, like, really important.
Yeah.
I think Mark Gatiss could take over Doctor Who.
Makes sense. Yeah,
or surprise me. Get another good writer. I don't know. Yeah. Just get somebody else.
Do something new. That's what we're saying.
Y'all did a good job with Capaldi. That was a step in the right direction, but, like, come on.
I mean, since Jenna Coleman's leaving, that means we're going to be getting a new person, so we'll see what they do. Maybe it's not a person.
Let's hope so.
Maybe it's an alien.
I love it.
So, Hunger Games Part 2 trailer. Some new stuff going on. They've released a couple of new videos.
And it's a fucking spoiler.
Yeah, wow.
It says for Prim.
Yeah, and it's
I wonder what's going to happen to Prim.
I'm terribly I just think, like, here's the thing, right? Is like,
my God.
No matter what way you look at it, that's just really not a good option to go. Even for people who, like, know ahead of time or whatever. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, everyone knows what you're alluding to, and you shouldn't be doing that because it's gonna really, like, take the
like the Terminator Genesis trailer that spoiled the whole John Connor's the Terminator thing.
Oh my god.
I would have loved Terminator Genesis like so much. I would have had like, I shouldn't say that. I would have had more of a drive to see Terminator Genesis if I didn't know that, because I haven't seen it. I don't know if I would love it or not, but you know, I'd have more of a drive to see it if I didn't know the main twist.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's one of those things of like they give you so much in the trailer nowadays, and they're so forward about doing that. And more importantly, is this series right now is taking itself very seriously.
You brought up a good point of like Harry Potter had the build up, so it had the right to take itself that serious. 7 years, 7 fucking movies. You can take yourself that seriously.
That is kids who've literally like that will be their childhood for the rest of their like that will influence.
Harry Potter is my childhood
on a huge level. I mean,
on a huge level.
It's insane how wrapped up we were in it in middle school to high school movie wise, and then elementary to middle school book wise, and it was like because I remember like the pre-releases of like Goblet of Fire books at like the local bookstore on my mall.
Yeah.
And then like
I remember pre-ordering Goblet of Fire.
And then the midnight releases of the fucking movies like a decade late, like it was crazy. Like, or well, no, those were quicker. Those the releases of the books and the movies started like kind of catching up with themselves a little later on. Like,
yeah. In
the sense of like what was coming out, like shit was coming out near the same time. It was crazy. But in the franchise, I mean, whether it's good or bad is regardless. It's a franchise that will solely.
Are we talking about Hunger Games or
Harry Potter?
Okay.
Harry Potter is solely going to be remembered because it was 7 years and 8 films. I mean. Huge. And the thing is, it wasn't like, will there be 7 films? It wasn't like a Nightmare on Elm Street condition or Friday the 13th. It was like, you know there's 7 books, so you bet your ass there's at least going to be 7 films. Surprise, 8. And it's like, damn, you know, like that's a following. But this series is treating itself like it's using the phrases of like whole world watching the ending. And it's like, listen, I don't even really hate the cinema franchise of the Hunger Games that much.
I don't actually hate it. I just think it could be better.
In fact, I duly appreciate them doing a movie adaptation of this novel series because teens were interested to read.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
It's not that bad. I actually really like the first book.
And it's not, the first book's not bad by any means, and we could definitely go in depth, but more importantly, like, it started as a book, turned into a movie, and I can always get behind that in the sense of, like, that gives kids a reason to read more. And it's like, hey, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Encourage that.
But, that being said, you know, if you come out of the gate saying, like, best movie in the fucking world, and you're like, no, stop, don't hype me. I don't want that. Like, I want to go see it and see what you do and, like, how you handled this book to movie.
Not even Star Wars Episode 7 is taking itself that damn seriously.
Yeah, they're really not, like, by any means. I mean, they're
having fun with it. They have they had that reel of establishing. They established why it was important, but they were really like chill about it, you know?
Yeah,
they were like, this is fun. You know, we're having fun.
Although that being said, like, it does make me worry because, like, what if they're like gritting through their teeth to say that, but then like when the camera's off,
it seemed very genuine.
They're like, God, Jesus, if this movie sucks, we're fucking ruined. All of our lives are ruined.
Because I mean, they got the. Well, no, okay, that's not really a convincing argument. Getting the original cast, I guess, is not. Because they would have done it. I'm pretty sure they would have done it anyway if it was
not
shit.
Doing it would have really hindered them in quite a big way.
But it's there are so many people out there that have no reason to say that this movie is good that are saying Drew Struzan being the biggest thing. That I'm sure we talked about before.
Yeah, that's right.
That he has no financial reason to say that this movie is good because his income does not depend on this movie being good.
Yeah.
And he says this movie's fucking amazing.
Well,
because they already paid him to do the poster. His income he's already got paid. Like, whether the movie does well or not doesn't matter to him. He's already got his paycheck.
Yeah.
And they showed him over half the movie, and he's like, this is going to be the best movie you've ever damn seen.
Wow. And that's just such a big claim. I mean, I'm excited to see what we get.
Or the best Star Wars movie you've ever damn seen, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely... I can't wait to see what we get, you know? I can't wait to see what we end up with.
But, like, you know, Hunger Games has no reason of, like...
To play up that, Star Wars, again, is a huge franchise. Next up, we got Luke Cage from Marvel getting some new cast members. We're seeing the return of our night nurse.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, which she did great. She was
absolutely
amazing.
Fantastic.
She was phenomenal, absolutely great in that series. Who else are we currently seeing?
Very convincing relationship with Daredevil.
Very convincing. The detective for Luke Cage.
How their relationship plays into they both want the same thing, but they're going about it different ways.
Oh yeah.
And they respect and love each other for making the sacrifice, but their sacrifice is too big to really commit to each other.
Yeah.
You know? And it's very compelling.
It's super cool, and there's so much just in general about the characters, and she does a great job. I'm a huge fan of her in general. She's always played really.
She was really good in Top 5.
She's great in a lot of things. She kills it.
The Chris Rock movie recently. She was the love interest in that.
Oh, really?
She was very, very, very good in that movie.
Yeah, I'm happy to see her in the Marvel world. I think they chose wisely. I think
they chose wisely.
Either way. Super excited to see that. We got 3 other people that just got put in.
Misty Knight,
and then
somebody that I did not expect. I didn't expect them to establish the building blocks for Heroes for Hire this early.
In general, it's strange because we're not even fully introduced into mutants, kind of And
is Misty Knight a mutant?
No, but in general, the whole.
They can't say mutant.
Yeah, they can't say mutant exactly.
So they call them miracles
or gifted or Inhumans for later.
Yeah.
And so it makes me wonder how they're going to introduce some of these characters.
Yeah.
What are we really seeing here? Are we seeing more heroes? I mean, why? How are you going to biologically explain these creatures and people? Mutants was such a good way to do it because it was yeah, mutants.
And it's a huge part of that's over 50. I wouldn't say over, but at least at most 50% of the Marvel universe is X-Men.
Yeah,
it's that big.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, and mutants in general. I mean,
that's over 50%.
Yeah, and
or no, about 50%. God damn it! But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they don't just do mutants of you were born like that. Spider-Man, who was turned mutant, technically his DNA was altered, and he technically mutated.
Which is one of the things is why don't they lump other heroes into the whole mutant scare?
They do
some heroes kind of slink by that. It's why aren't you calling Spider-Man a mutant? And they do that sometimes,
yeah,
but I don't know. I guess it's just because he's not associated with the conflict as much, so he just kind of sneaks past it.
Yeah, I mean that. I guess that's the probably best way they could explain it. But either way, I like it. I just like mutant. I think it helps with a lot of things. I think it makes things a little more clear. And in general, with the Marvel universe, I don't know. I never felt there was such a weird restriction on what can and can't be. And I'm how are you going to define all these people who are gifted, who are
I think Misty Knight, her thing is more technological and physical than it is genetic.
But Heroes for Hire, or just in general, some of the people who come on have different abilities.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think I think there's one of them that's a mutant.
Yeah.
That I can think of right now.
I mean, we'll see. And then of course we got who else we got?
Shades,
yeah.
They casted who's basically Luke Cage's Joker, his nemesis, his antithesis. And then you've got Brad from Pulp Fiction, playing the cop character whose name I can't remember. Damn.
Detective.
He's playing the detective like Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And I wish I remembered what his damn name was.
Yeah.
Riveting commentary.
On Luke Cage.
We know exactly what we're talking about.
It'll be excited to see what they do, and
I like that actor.
And I said this earlier. They're probably going to bring some of these people from Jessica Jones to Luke Cage.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're going to establish this cop detective character that's a huge part in Luke Cage.
Yeah.
In Jessica Jones, because why not?
Yeah, exactly.
She's a private investigator. Why wouldn't she?
We already got the nurse from Daredevil. So,
yeah.
I mean, of course we're going to see some people. I mean, I just hope we see maybe a little Foggy Nelson action. Maybe,
Absolutely. The more, this is the Marvel street,
Yeah.
The more you can connect these Netflix shows, the better,
Makes sense.
Cameos are encouraged.
So, the next and last topic we got is Max Landis's Superman pitch for Man of Steel 2. And
Which coincides with
Batman having more screen time.
Zack Snyder revealing that Batman has more screen time in Batman v Superman.
Which, when I first heard, reaffirmed my concerns of who the hell are we following in this movie? Who is our main character, Batman or Superman?
This is a nothing film. This is a film of... Oh, no, it's not a film of nothing. It's a film of too much.
Way too much.
They're packing... They learned nothing from Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. Packing too much in your damn film is going to make it unfocused and just shitty.
Yeah, it's just going to be bad.
Inconsistent, shitty, unfocused, and these characters aren't going to be well established as a result.
And Wonder Woman and Aquaman both being introduced. Why the fuck is Wonder Woman not getting a solo film before this movie?
That's absolutely. Bullshit. What is her stake in this?
Yeah, why
is she? It's called Batman v Superman. Why is she here?
No idea. It's absolutely insane. And so I hear Batman gets more screen time, and I'm like, comparatively to what time? Like, is Superman like in only a fourth of the film? Is he in? Are they both? Is he like 52% of the film and 50 or 48%? Like, what's the difference here, really? And like,
just make a damn Batman film at this point, or make a damn commit to something.
Which is kind of what we had Max talking about, which we saw the interview.
Max Landis' pitch actually really intrigued me.
Well, so his concept, which is interesting, is that instead you take it from the Clark Kent meets Lex Luthor doing interview, which I think is a great way to pursue Clark Kent's
not only that, but like PTSD and like guilt to the point of self-destruction from the events of Man of Steel, because that's the only way you can make that okay.
Yeah.
Like the amount of destruction and reckless shit happening in Man of Steel, Superman, like Clark getting PTSD and like flashbacks and shit from this, and having super guilt from all the death and shit he caused. Like, yeah, that's the only way you can make that justifiable. Yeah. Is him being that guilty over it. And him, like, to the point where he's like, it's like self-destructive. But like, Max put it in the terms of like, he has one more assignment from the Bugle, and that is to interview Lex Luthor. And he said, in his ideal Man of Steel 2, Lex Luthor would be played by Tom Hanks. Yeah. And I was like, that is not a bad idea. I don't know if Tom would do it. Yeah. But like, Lex Luthor, like, should be likable. It should also be, in a sense, be likable as well as intimidating. We know Tom Hanks can do likable. Yeah. And we also know he can do intimidating. Which is in films like, Private Ryan and Philadelphia and Disney film, Saving Mr. Banks. Yeah. Very intimidating in that. Very intimidating power figure in that movie. Yeah. Absolutely, like, terrifying at times. Like, Walt Disney, scary man.
I mean, no, I think he could easily bring it to the plate. I think my only peculiar issue, I guess, with the situation is at the end of his pitch, he wanted to bring all the Justice League in. That Superman would be sent...
I think that he was just working with the established parameters that Zack Snyder is taking the movies, where it's like, he's introducing everyone. Because Max, he said earlier in the pitch, his Man of Steel 2 would have no Justice League, would have no Batman. But since, Batman v Superman is just establishing fucking everyone for some reason.
Yeah, I just don't understand
catching up to Marvel, cough.
Yeah, that's true. And also, like, you talked about, like, street scenes fighting the Lex bots, and I was like, I feel like I've seen that before. And
that's a little redundant. I think he was just he did kind of mention in the interview, he did admit that some of this he kind of pulled out of his ass. So, given time, I think he could think of a better finale.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a better start and a better than what we'll be getting from Batman v Superman.
And it's super interesting. Like, he's like, Lex Luthor, the reason that Lex Luthor is being interviewed by Clark is because he found out who he was. Because, he's a fucking genius. Yeah. He's the smartest person, arguably, on the face of the planet. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to save your image. I like that. Like, LexCorp sponsoring Superman is a super interesting idea.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's a great way to put the characters together at first. And
people hating Superman for this destruction of Metropolis, but Luthor saving his image is so cool.
It has that Smallville trope of, like, can he really hate Lex that much? I mean, Lex did come from difficult times as well, and he was.
And Lex doesn't seem as a bad guy at first because he's smart. Yeah. He doesn't want to come off as at first. He doesn't want to do that. That's stupid. You want to keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah.
He's that guy,
Yeah, it'll be,
very Machiavelli-esque kind of thing.
But who knows what we'll be getting from the real film that'll come out whenever that comes out. But yeah, so that's going to be all our topics we have. Moving on to our next stuff. Owen, what are you up to? What have you been doing this past week?
I've been fucking, doing whatever. I've been filming a lot with you guys.
Yeah, filming a ton. Hey guys, Rule of Thirds episode 2 is up, by the way.
Yeah, check that shit out if you haven't.
That's always good.
It's pretty damn good. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what happened there.
It's pretty good.
Episode
3.
I've been trying to catch up with The Strain recently.
The Strain,
being Guillermo del Toro's vampire TV series. Yeah. And it's got a lot going for it, but also there's a few things because I liked the first season. I really liked the first season. I felt like it got better as it went along, and the more it established about the vampires, the way they were established, all the biological aspects of that, super cool, super interesting. The way that corporations and hubris of the human populace kind of played into that was also very cool, and how just this master figure, this Dracula figure, has covered all the bases basically in how he's going to take over the world,
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting and very cool. But season 2 has a couple of problems. One, they cast a new child character, being Ephraim Goodweather's son. They recast him, and honestly, this was to kind of address one of the problems I had with season 1, is that Ephraim's kid in season 1 didn't react to the extremes that I thought he would, given the circumstances. He seemed kind of chill, considering that the world was basically coming to an end, and his mom quite possibly might be dead.
Yeah.
He seemed oddly kind of, not as upset as I thought he would be with the whole situation. He was just kind of and then just kind of oh no, what are you gonna do, Dad? He'd be kind of pouty faced in some scenes, but I thought he'd be fucking crying.
Yeah.
But they established his reactions weren't as extreme as I thought they would be. So they recast him as this new kid, and now his reactions are extreme, but for the wrong reasons. This kid is just insert conflict 101. He's Carl Grimes of the, how Carl in season 2 just got into shitty situations
and was guys, help me,
for no other reason than he's a stupid kid. Of just when they don't have conflict for the episode, they just have the kid do something stupid. It's that kind of problem, and it's this kid he's just awful. There was a Screen Rant article about it where it's Strain season 2 proudly presents the worst character on television.
Oh,
and this kid is just awful.
Yeah.
And it's super disappointing. And a lot of the really interesting characters so far, I'm only 6 to 7 episodes into this, are where the fuck are they? Where the fuck is Eichhorst, the Nazi vampire? He's done next to nothing so far, and he's one of the best characters, if not the best character in the series, because of how fucking evil he is, and how just he was a monster before he was turned into a vampire. How fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
Explore that character. I want to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And part of the reason season 1 was so good is because they focused on his character a lot.
Yeah.
And he was in most of it. They focused more on the corporation character, Eldritch Palmer. And he's financially backing the master because he built up his company from nothing, and he wants immortality. He wants the vampiric immortality as a result. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason he's helping him and stopping people at every turn from politically and financially from stopping this crisis. But in this, he's also trying to maintain. He's disguising his actions as trying to be for the good of everyone. He kind of establishes this joke kind of safe haven, and he's trying to maintain his public image. He's oh my god, what a fucking dick, and people are buying this shit. They're eating it up because of how he's given all these fluffy speeches and whatnot, and it's actually really interesting. they also do a lot of flashbacks between, because Eldridge Palmer also knows Satrakian, which is played by like Filch and Walter Frey. Wow. He's like the Van Helsing of the show, and a lot of backstory. The best part of season 2 is the backstory of Eldridge Palmer and Satrakian, and all the stuff that they go through, the way trying to find the Oxydo Lumen, which is basically like how to stop these vampires 101. Yeah. And like where that book might be, and how he got his badass silver cane sword, and how that ties into World War II and his effects with that, and how that ties into losing his wife and his first encounter with the Master. Season 2 opens with establishing how the Master got his gigantic fucking body. It's because he possessed this poor guy with gigantism, like, who was actually like a pillar of the community. He was like a nice guy. He was like a Santa Claus kind of figure. Oh wow! But then he turns into this fucking monster, and it's really cool. That's actually really good. And then you have Ephraim's storyline, which is also kind of interesting because he's trying to find a biological disease to combat this disease. He's fighting fire with fire, basically. Yeah. And that stuff is actually really cool. And the stuff that he goes through to do that. The stuff with like the rat catcher and like the hacker character that were introduced in season 1 and their relationship. I mean, their performances are nice and their relationship is very cute, but it's very redundant because really all their scenes are just like, let's go into this building and clear it of vampires and then talk about why we have the hots for each other and how the world is going to shit. It's literally just that. Yeah. And it doesn't really change all that much. At least so far. I'm not finished yet. But I'm like, 6 or 7 episodes in. And it's just kind of redundant and stuff. There's not much going on there. But there's a lot of new interesting characters being established too. Like, there's a political figure there's another political figure being introduced, and she's like really hunkering down and like getting all these SWAT teams and like clearing buildings out. She clears like a certain district of New York, and that's become like a safe haven, and she beheads vampires and like holds them up, like mounts them on walls, and they're like, boom, fuck you vampires. Yeah. This lady's badass. And then there's also like a subplot of her losing her son to the vampire disease, which makes it more personal for her, so that's also really interesting. There's also like some pacing issues because they focus a lot of the uninteresting stories, and sometimes like stuff with the kid. Yeah. And the rat catcher and the hacker storyline, and it's all. I'd still very much recommend checking out this show. Yeah. It's just season 2 has some problems, and I did that it could have easily avoided, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and the lore is really cool. This biological kind of vampire idea is also really, really cool, and they're adding like new kind of types of vampires too. Like Ephraim's wife has now been turned into a vampire and granted consciousness. They established that like there's only a few vampires that get this like honor of having consciousness. Yeah. I-Korst being one of them, and also Mrs. Goodweather. Yeah. And since she is a mother and has her driving force, like the driving force of you as a vampire is to turn the ones you love into vampires. Yeah. Like when you're first turned into one. So she still has that. She still wants to turn F and well, not F because they were divorced, but Zach, their kid, into a vampire. And because she's a mom, they turn they stop this bus full of blind children, and they turn them into vampires and make them like spider vampires with like spider sense or some shit. Okay. Like they see things like Daredevil style and stuff like that, and they're super hard to kill. And they fuck some people up. It's super cool. And she's like their mom. She's like coddling them and like petting their heads, and they answer to her basically. And since Zach is staying with F, she's basically using them to find her. The Master is using her connection to Zach to find them. Yeah. Because F won't dish Zach. Because that's his kid, reasonably enough. Honestly, the character's fucking annoying, and I wish they would ditch him. But I know why they're not, because it's his fucking son. Of course he's not going to do that.
Why is it important? Yeah.
So that's the strain. Pretty damn good TV show. It's just got some problems. I've been playing a few video games as well. One of them I got into a Humble Bundle and only recently started to play it, is Mercenary Kings. And the best thing about this right off the bat is the art style. Yeah. Pixel art from whoever did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Awesome.
The brawler game.
Yeah.
Very, very well done.
Awesome.
Absolutely fantastic. The soundtrack also really very much purchase worthy. Very catchy. Kept me actually playing more of this game than I probably should. Those two things. But this is one of those games that I just didn't like as much as I wanted to, you know? Because it has this like Metal Slug kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I love Metal Slug.
Yeah.
But it's not as arcadey as Metal Slug. It's like I don't know if this is just like the tutorial levels or something like that, but I've played like 3 or 4 hours of this game and I haven't gotten past levels like these where it's literally like they have. So far, I've played through 3 separate levels multiple times with multiple objectives, like MMO objectives.
Yeah.
This is if Metal Slug was an MMO.
Yeah.
You have like your hub area with people that sell you equipment and items, and like you have cosmetic things and like kind of an online little hub as well. And you can also talk to these characters and learn more about them if you want to, with some pretty funny dialogue. To be fair,
yeah.
The dialogue is actually very well written, but it's just so boring and repetitive. The enemy placement doesn't change in these 3 levels that I've been playing, and the objectives aren't fun because these levels aren't linear. They're fucking mazes, and you have to find certain random drops and stuff like that. Like there was a level to collect 3 pelts, and the drop rate for the pelts was so fucking rare.
Yeah.
And it was also next to impossible to kill these animals because they would run away as soon as they saw you, and by then they're already like 3/4 across the screen, and they also run like a bat out of hell, and your gun only fires so fast.
Yeah.
So you have to like, and if you roll into them, like, because rolling is like this is like a Legend of Zelda roll. You move your fastest when you're rolling.
Yeah.
But you also it's like a predetermined distance, so you might roll into enemies and stuff like that. So that's kind of the trade-off.
Yeah.
But like, if you roll into any of these animals, you take fucking damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a fox or like a bird or a small tiny rabbit. Literally, a tiny baby rabbit causes damage if you roll into it. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It took me like 15 tries to get that level done because the drop rate on the pelts was so rare. I got the optional objective before I got the actual objective.
Yeah.
The optional objective was to collect a feather, and I got a feather drop before I got any pelt drops.
Yeah.
It was fucking bullshit.
Sounds
but it's just dull and repetitive, and there's only like I've only played through like 3 different levels so far. And I wish I liked this game more because the art style is so good and the music is so good, and the first time playing through the levels is actually really fun, but then you play through them again and again and again with super repetitive and dumb objectives, MMO-like objectives of kill X amount of enemies or get X amount of like drops from these enemies, and it's just not fun. I'm just not having fun with it anymore.
Yeah.
I really wish I liked it more. But these other 2 games that I've been playing, I've actually been really into. One of them being Hand of Fate. This is one of the most unique games I've played ever.
Really? Let
me explain to you Hand of Fate. It is a card game brawling roguelike. Mm-hmm. You are sitting across a table from this mysterious man, this like cloaked man, who's like the storyteller, I guess.
Yeah. And
the whole thing is that you want to beat him at his game, his card game. And he has different cards, and he'll lay them out in certain configurations, and each card reveals a different part of the story. Like you'll find a merchant or some goblins or different like story things like a carnival, and you'll have to pick certain cards of like, some of it is like random. This is why it's a roguelike. You'll have random like you'll have to pick between 4 cards, and some of them will be success or failure. So it's like you have like this random roguelike element to it, and you can get different equipment, you can get different weapons, you can get gold and food every time you move a space. it takes one food away from you. So there's like this resource management also kind of aspect to it, because you need to make sure your food is up. Because if you eat food, every time you move and you eat food, it heals you. But if you don't have food, you take damage. Yeah. So that's all fine and dandy. So you have that card game kind of thing where you get different cards and you reveal them, and eventually you get to the boss. And if you get into like a fighting thing, it turns into Arkham style arena combat with its like
interesting.
X to attack, Y to counter, B to do, or A to do a roll, and B to do like a fuck off kind of move.
Yeah.
And it's actually really, really, really fun.
And what's this for?
It's super responsive, very cool enemy types for PC. I bought this on Steam. It used to be on early access. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
And very, very, very well worth your time. The animations are really nice. The Arkham combat is very cool. Lots of variety in weapons and equipment and cards as you play the game. And if you complete certain objectives on the card, you'll unlock a token. You'll get that card's token. And that token goes to unlocking even more cards.
Interesting.
It's also cool to note that the DLC for this game so far has all been free.
Wow.
All of it's been free updates with certain themes. Like the theme that I got in the most recent update was like sea, like pirate ships and stuff like that. Cool. Anything having to do with like underwater or just around the ocean or something like that. Very, 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 very cool. And the guy across from you, the guy who's playing this game with you, you're playing the game with, has some really cool commentary.
Yeah.
It's like Bastion-esque kind of commentary. Ooh, really? Where he's talking about what you're doing and he's like, "Ooh, that card, you're fucked now," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't say that, but he's got a very cool dialogue from this character. Very mysterious, like well voice acted as well.
Yeah. Worth checking out.
Very, very, very worth checking out. Very, very unique game experience. I would highly recommend to anyone. Next up, I've been playing the Smash Bros. DLC.
Yeah.
I recently realized that they released 4 characters.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. One of them being Ryu from Street Fighter, and the other ones being returning characters, being Roy and Lucas and Mewtwo,
right.
who all play pretty well, but are variations on existing characters.
Yeah.
Roy is actually probably my favorite out of all of the Fire Emblem characters. He plays really, really well. And he's kind of a combination of what's best about Mark and Ike.
Yeah.
Or Marth and Ike.
Yeah.
He's like the combination of the two. He's like Dr. Mario. You know how Mario has his stuff, Luigi has his stuff, and then Mario is like the combination of Luigi and Mario of everything that's best about them.
And that's kind of how that's how Roy kind of played anyways, naturally. Yeah. So that makes sense.
So I like Roy. Lucas is Lucas. He's basically a Ness clone. I don't get what the difference is between Ness and Lucas.
Yeah.
I've never really did. I mean, his regular B move is different, but that's about it.
And he has different arcs on like his PK Fire and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's
and the size of the PK Thunder.
Oh, I know there's probably like subtle damage differences and stuff like that, but basically it's Marth and Lucina. I don't really see all that much of a difference of, and neither with me and Lucas. Like he's cool and he plays really well.
Yeah.
But it's I don't buy into all that like subtle difference kind of stuff. Same thing with Mewtwo. The difference between Mewtwo and Lucario, he's just a faster version of Lucario.
That's
basically.
Well, does he still have the same counter ability like Lucario does, where the more damage Lucario has, the more damage he gives to others?
I don't know. I haven't really played as much of Mewtwo.
Because that's what makes Lucario hugely different. So
he has a counter. I just don't know if it's that similar to Lucario's.
Lucario's all attacks get boosted more damage he takes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I'll have to test that out because I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he has the counter. I just don't know if it's that kind of counter. I don't know if it's as like akin to Lucario's.
Yeah.
But they all play really well. But Ryu though is the special one of all these characters because he's the only new one.
Yeah.
And boy, I gotta tell you, he is already number 1 on all of my I looked at my statistics recently for all of the characters. He's number 1 on most of them. Like most played, most KOs already, and I've had him for like maybe 5 days now.
Yeah.
He's super fun to play as. And he controls exactly the way you would expect. His side B being the Tatsumaki Senpujyaku, being the twirly legs, if you want to be if you want to be less technical about it, the twirly legs. Regular B, of course, being the Hadouken. And if you actually do the combination, the downright B kind of thing, it'll be like a more powerful version of the Hadouken, which is very cool. His down B being... I'm not familiar with this move.
It's a counter guard punch. It's where he takes a hit and then hits you.
Yeah, so he's able to take a hit, and if you use that really well, you can survive some devastating blows while also kind of dealing a decent amount of damage. And of course, the up B being the Shoryuken, which is super easy to combo into and super flexible. I love the Shoryuken, and it's super cool because the spinny leads, the Senpujyaku, launches people into the air.
Yeah.
So it makes it super easy to combo into the Shoryuken.
Yeah.
And all of his normals feel super good as well. Very, very like the fighting game that inspired his character. All of them feel Street Fighter-esque in all the right ways. Like, they don't feel off in this like more vertical fighter, you know?
Yeah.
He feels like a Street Fighter character, but also very at home in this different fighting game, you know?
Makes sense.
Like they tailored his control scheme around like familiarity to his Street Fighter roots, but based around like what you need to do.
Which is what they should have done,
a brawler,
bringing a king of fighter into someone who just is like hands down. Ryu is the biggest example of fighter game fighters there is with Street Fighter, and like
absolutely.
He's iconic, and so I think he deserves definitely some special treatment there. So that makes sense.
He's super fun to play as. Yeah. All of his moves feel really, really fucking awesome, and they even add the sound effects like from like the original Super Street Fighter 2 of like whenever he hits someone, it does like that like sound effect, and it's freaking amazing, dude. He's hands down my favorite character in the game now.
Dude,
he's awesome.
I'm super excited to play.
He's if any DLC character's worth the money, it's Ryu. It's got to be Ryu.
That is.
If you're going to buy one DLC character, Ryu.
That's very understandable. I'm super excited to get him. I want to get him for the console and see if he plays just
absolutely.
As well.
So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, Kayman?
Oh right, yeah. What have I been up to? I was like, what have I been up to? So I picked up Super Mario Maker, which came out. It's interesting. I'll say...
Which I have a few things to say about, too, since you let me play it.
Yeah, we both played it. I'd say it does this thing where it only gives you, like, 8 items when you first boot up the game. And if it's called Super Mario Maker, I should be playing Super Mario Maker first, and then doing this other stupid shit last. It's like you have to complete eight stages to get any unlocks, or you have to do something.
And I played, like, 3 sets of 8 stages and unlocked it. I unlocked one thing, which was Yoshi.
Yeah.
That was it. And I played like 3 of them. One of them being like the super ultra hard ones with the 100 lives, and then 2 of them being like the 10 lives ones. I got nothing from the 10 lives. I got one thing from the 100 lives.
Yeah.
And it was super disappointing.
I mean,
they should have gone the Gmod route, you know?
They should have. I don't know why they didn't.
Where it's just like, give us everything. Man, like, Gmod doesn't need to pull this bullshit on us of you need to unlock this stuff to do the thing, you know? Like, give us a level creator and have us go nuts. Come on, why do you have to fucking make it so complicated and obscure to how we unlock anything?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really upsetting because I wanted to play Mario Maker, and
I wanted to make Mario, but the majority of the making Mario is locked behind super obscure doors that we don't know how to open.
Excuse me. And I don't care to open. I don't care to open up those doors. I just want to make Mario levels. Come on.
2 of the worlds are locked. Super Mario World and Super Mario Bros. 3 are locked off from us.
And there's just so much. I would understand if you did it with rare items. Whatever.
Yeah, rare items. You can lock off rare items from us.
All the fun, like all the basic ones at least. Anywho, so I've been playing Super Mario Maker. It's alright.
It's still really fun though.
It's still.
Let's talk about some good stuff that we like about it.
When you do get to play it, it's really fun. when you get to the actual making the levels, it's pretty cool. And of course, the community is awesome. You got some really cool levels to play for. And
cool levels.
Yeah, some huge creativity going on there. I love all those things. I think the game itself, when played, is good for sure. I just think the presentation of what it is not good.
Too much of it is locked behind doors.
Yeah. But I don't
feel like I'm making Mario. I feel like you're gonna have to play like so many hours to actually finally make Mario the way you want to make it with all the stuff, or at least all the basic stuff, you know.
Precisely.
And all the worlds unlocked.
Yeah. The other thing I've been doing, I just picked up Order 1886, which
snore.
God, Jesus, no.
No, you didn't pick it up. A friend of
father,
yours didn't want it.
No, my father was like, no, I'm good, take it. I was like, yeah, for sure. It's
I thought you said a friend of yours.
No, my father gave it to me, and I was like, yeah, no, for sure. Like, it's not a. I talked to him about it, and he was like, yeah, it's not that great. And so I put it in, and it's, God, Jesus. The first, 10-15 minutes it's the same thing, and
it's boring.
It's so boring. It makes no sense. There's no part of this. I will say, graphically, it looks
beautiful. Oh, yeah, technically, the sound design and the graphic, are visually fucking stellar.
It could have actually had, some attention paid to, the music, because it doesn't have it.
Oh, yeah, well, the score is, is non-existent.
The writing is dumb. And
the writing is dumb. The voice actors really are really trying to sell it.
They're doing the best they can.
They're doing the best they can.
I guess I can get behind that.
But I don't know who anyone is. 20 minutes into the game, and I'm like, who is anyone? I know your names
and
right
we're
now.
Shooting all these people. You're just reason.
Right after they shoot a whole ton of people, the main character has the gall to say, "We don't shoot people."
Yeah, and that main girl we run into is like, "Oh, I'm better than you,"
and then she does nothing.
She can't shoot anyone. She hits
the
wall.
Our first encounter with an enemy. And I was like, wait, Kayman, don't shoot it. Don't shoot him. Let's see how she handles this. This is right after she said, I'm better. I'm like, let's see how she handles this. And she couldn't hit him. He was standing in the middle of a fucking hallway, 2 or 3 yards in front of us, and could not hit him.
Yeah, no, it's
with ridiculous. A rifle.
Yeah, her AI was completely joked. And even in the cinematics, she got shot multiple times. And you're
like, oh yeah, she's better.
Yeah, great job being better than. Jesus, make me feel like your character actually is better.
If you're gonna say you're better, back it the fuck up.
Yeah, show me something cool. I want to see her kick ass.
Don't tell me you're better unless you have something to back it up with.
Sure. So those have been 2 things I've been up to. Nothing too in depth. I've been swamped obviously with Rule of Thirds, which by the way, a lot more work and doing on it. We got episode 3 coming out.
A lot of filming with that recently.
Yeah, that'll be. Oh my gosh, that's coming out October 1st, episode 3. Yeah, by the way, hey, surprise everyone listening, October 1st is Rule of Thirds episode 3.
Woohoo!
Surprise.
Get hyped.
Yeah, get hyped. Man, it's going to be good too. That was some great shooting we did this past week. Just some beautiful work on everyone's part. That was really enjoyable. I'm super excited for
really fun
people to see what comes out of that. But we're going to go and move on to our main event of the evening, Trick or Treat, the movie we did, we watched a couple nights ago. And before
this is keeping with the horror movie theme that we're going on to in preparation for October, because I didn't want to just do me and Kayman. We didn't want to just do four horror movies. We wanted to
really get into it.
We wanted to really get into the horror genre, so we started with Scream in honor of dearly departed Wes Craven, and moved on to Trick or Treat because we want to do a different genre for each of them. Excluding Scream, because that's in honor of Wes Craven. So we're going to do another slasher film later, but this is the anthology.
Yeah, this is an anthology film.
This is horror anthology.
Horror anthology, and might I add, one of the best horror anthologies.
I'd say the best.
It's right up there with Tales from... not Tales from the Crypt, although a great show.
Pretty good show.
The Shadow... what was it? Tales of the Shadow Book. It was one I saw as a kid that was really amazing, and it's infamous. It's great. It's a great anthology, but it is not coming to me off the top of my head. Tales from the something. Tales from the Dark Side. Tales from the Dark Side.
That's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, it is on Netflix now, and everyone should totally watch it because it's really fun and entertaining.
I totally might.
It's really enjoyable.
It looks super creepy because there's that guy with red eyes who looks terrifying.
It's cute. It's cute. It's super cute. You can't get enough of the cuteness in that movie. But Trick or Treat is a Halloween anthology, and I like to stress Halloween.
Halloween, the Halloweeniest movie most Halloweeniest movie I've ever seen
since Nightmare Before Christmas.
Since Nightmare Before Christmas,
at the very least.
These are the two. The two quintessential Halloween movies: Nightmare Before Christmas
and Trick or Treat. It's true. Every Halloween,
and arguably Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, I would say every year during October, just like we do in December when we watch Rudolph, we should be watching Trick or Treat. I
absolutely.
I believe it. I think it gets the spirit of Halloween in place. I think just everything about this movie is Halloween.
Just oozes the spirit of the season,
And it focuses so much on Samhain, which is the pagan root of Halloween, what initially was called, and I just love that. I love the attention to detail and the lore, and the anthology does a great job of bringing that out. And that's our introduction. We're going to kind of go into our writing now about it, though. Kind of get a little more specific. The writing here, being an anthology, it's cohesive.
It is very cohesive.
Everything does kind of fall into play and has some really great reveals for each story.
There was one part where it was like, wait, why are you here? With the masked guy.
Oh, in the parade? Well, remember he was talking and his son was like, can we go to the parade? Can I go with you to the parade later? And he was like...
Didn't he say he could come, though?
No, he said he couldn't. He's
okay.
No. He's like, I'm gonna put you to bed. And he's like, well, after we carve the pumpkin.
Okay, never mind. Fuck that. That's fine.
They do a pretty good job of putting everyone in place. And if you it's one of those
that one I was kind of confused with because they only give like one line about like that.
And it's
I don't know.
It's also your first viewing. If you go back and watch the movie a second time with all the reveals that you know are going to happen, it sets it up amazingly well.
Lot of good reveals. I'm going to say that right now.
My God.
There's like 3 really good reveals. One of which the biggest reveal I actually predicted, just because I was hoping that was what it was. I guess and I mean the fact that I predicted it does not make it any less good.
Oh, it was the bus driver.
The bus driver.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Really, really great reveal of how the bus driver story actually was. The way that how important it is and how it's incorporated in that film, very good reveal.
Very good reveal. All of them really good stories to be told. Writing wise, it's cohesive. It's there.
A lot of really great characters too.
A lot of really good characters.
A lot of really fun. The best of the bunch actually being the principal.
Yeah, super fun.
Lots of cool stuff going on with his character, and lots of really cool.
The kids too.
Lots of cool backstory between his relationship with his kid and stuff like that, and the kids. The kids are also. I'd say they weren't together. They're about as good as the principal.
That's fair.
I like the principal on his own is really cool.
Rhonda,
him and his son, really cool too.
See, for me, Rhonda's like my favorite character because
Rhonda's really cool, but because she has she establishes like the lore of Halloween.
It's so cool. I love that. Yeah, I'm a little biased.
And her story has her character has like the best arc and payoff of all the characters because of like what she does in the end of her arc.
Well, and it's great to see because normally the part of the movie
it's like super satisfying.
Normally the part of the movie that's the hardest is explaining the lore and here's the plot. And it's so cool that this like little girl who's like kind of treated like a weirdo, with all her beliefs is the one to introduce all that. And it's really cool and fascinating. And I really appreciated it. And as far as the writing goes, it's good. I mean, this movie...
There's a lot of good twists and turns.
Great twists and turns. This movie is good because of good concept, good creative ideas in the writing, and good characters in the writing. It's not poorly written. Don't get me wrong. There are some moments. The first 2 characters we're introduced to.
There's not too much backstory to some of the characters when there probably could be.
Yeah, but the ones who are focused on just perfect enough. Like they really are well done. If they're meant to be a main character, you feel like they're meant to be a main character.
Absolutely.
You connect with them, and there's a lot going on, and there's always a twist you're not expecting because it tricked you in some way. And and of course the scene with the kids in the bus, really well done. And
the best reveal I think was the wolf reveal. I think that's the wolf. The wolf reveal got me. I'm not going to give anything away, but
that was really good.
There's a reveal of a wolf, and it's really good.
And again, that one you rewatch and you just see it. It's very impressive. So writing wise, I was all around liked it. Camera work, it did some really impressive moments. Camera work wise, the last
there was some really cool
angles and shots to get.
Really cool mise en scène, actually. Like, especially regarding the bus storyline.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff going on with those Halloween masks.
Really good stuff.
Mise en scène being what's in the shot, by the way, if you're not familiar with that term.
It's very, very impressive, especially with, the introduction of the movie is done comic-wise. It looks like comic pages. And you really get this feel of, like, every shot feels like out of a page from a comic.
And it being an anthology, like, really, being alluded to as a comic book kind of establishes, like,
the different stories.
Yeah, being more of an anthology, you're like, oh yeah, comic anthology, cool, I can buy it.
Yeah, you really get into it. It's a nice way to introduce the concept.
And the art style for the comic pages are actually really good,
too. Excellent. Very, very well done. I was super impressed. I think the camera work for the ending, conclusive story with Sam and all that stuff in the house,
how it wraps up all the storylines in the end is very, very good.
And the camera work there and the ending, I guess what you'd say fight scene, is really well done, where he
follows the action very well.
Very well.
And knows when to focus on certain things.
Yeah, there's stuff going on in the background, and if you look for it, you'll see it, and it's very spooky, scary. And
that ties into other stories as well.
A lot. Camera work is great here. It's good camera work. It's not bad. If I wanted camera work in a film, I wouldn't say no to this film. It's not like the best ever, but it's definitely better than
It's got its moments.
It's definitely got its moments. Some attention to detail was put in. Editing is another great part for this movie. The coloring alone.
The coloring of the backstory of the bus driver, of like the bus backstory,
is so
of having to do with how those kids were killed in that accident.
Yeah. Well, not an accident.
Not an accident.
Yeah.
Accident with quotation marks on it.
Yeah. Is the coloring in that is truly excellent. It is Halloween.
Just let that like. I turned to Kayman and I'm like, this is orange as fuck, and I love it.
Yeah, it's
because it goes so far to establish this Halloween-y aspect of the film.
It's really great. It's very impressive, and I think, and of course, not just there is the editing good, but the editing is also good in a lot of not jump scares. It's a lot of spooky, scary things that are like, oh man, that's not.
This film is very creepy.
Yeah, it does a lot of good moments, and that also lends itself to the editing with some good sound work. Some really good moments also in like. When he's burying the kid and the kid's kind of like talking and stuff, and just including a lot of like different sound design in pieces that make it believable. Yeah, really good.
The
editing.
Score also very good, very Halloween-y, very Elfman.
Yeah, very Elfman.
I turned to Kayman and I'm like, did Danny Elfman like compose this? There's like some Danny Elfman choral work going on in the background. Like, if I'm thinking like Halloween music, I'm thinking Danny Elfman because of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
and they kill it, man.
They kill it. It's very good. Editing, thumbs up. I mean, and I'm going through this and I'm like, there really is not a lot wrong with most of these topics in this film. Acting, you have great people in Anna Paquin.
There's not a weak performance. There are weak characters, but there's not a weak performance in this film.
All of them are extremely believable. The principal being the most, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Principal killing it. In fact, all the kids I thought were excellently acted as well. Every kid really fit their role perfectly.
Absolutely.
The little loser kid who like is meek and like that kid killed it, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, the meek loser kid, the asshole like Mean Girls kid.
The Mean Girls kid.
And then you have the kind of like jock with a heart of gold kind of kid.
Yeah, believed it. It was so good. Each one.
And
of
then
them.
You have Rhonda the retard as they called her,
which is like, and they really like talk about like how that affected her, and it's really cool to see it and like.
Yeah, Rhonda's got a lot going on.
She got a lot going on. I love her character. She's so interesting. She's like.
You really come to like care for her as soon as like you introduce her and like even visually. As soon as you see her, you're like, aww.
Yeah, with all the pumpkins around her. I love it.
And her little Alphaba costume, her like witch costume. It's like, oh, you're cute.
Yeah, the principal's kid, who I said looked like me when I was a child. That kid's freaking adorable, but also creepy as hell.
That kid fucking scary.
He was, dude. Oh man, that kid
absolutely killed it.
He really did.
I did not expect what they were going to do with him.
Yeah, that was.
And I'm not going to give away what they do, but what they do is absolutely astounding.
Yeah, I mean, and the playing the old man at the end also really good. I mean, like these aren't, of course, award-winning performances by any means.
No.
But they are good. They are quality performances.
Surprisingly enough, like Anna Paquin's performance wasn't like the big like the best part of the film.
It wasn't by any means.
Like,
it was
her
good.
being like this Oscar-winning like actress and shit. I thought that her performance would take center stage. It really didn't.
It really didn't.
Good story, very good performance.
Well acted too, yeah.
But her performance took kind of like a back seat to some better ones.
It's just some creative story arcs too,
and some really good story arcs.
So acting-wise, again, loving it. Bringing us to our directing and conclusive on what we're going to be creating this film, which I'm super excited to hear what you say, because we actually haven't discussed too much on what we thought of the conclusionary ending.
Well, here's the one thing about this film. I feel like sometimes it's too cute. It's too Halloween-y. Like, where it succeeds in being a Halloween film, sometimes it fails in being a horror film. Its greatest strength
is its greatest weakness.
You're absolutely right. I'm like, oh, I love this Halloween stuff, but I wish this film was scarier.
And this is why that's such a valued point, because it's the exact reason why Christmas Carol and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer are always going to be, like, mildly good movies. Not amazing, because they literally only fit for one addendum. Like, they're only, like, Christmas movie. Like, this is a Halloween film. The logic behind what is happening here is Halloween logic. And if you can't get behind that, you're going to have a bit of a trouble time watching this film, because you have to truly.
And it doesn't have another aspect that you can cling on to, like Christmas Story does. Like, the family dynamic in Christmas Story is so well done that I can watch that any time of year and have a great time.
They do introduce, like, innocence and and guilt in this movie in really good ways, in the concept of trick or treat.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I won't that watching this film any time of the year is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
it's
like,
good.
because I could watch Trick or Treat at any time of the year and find it a good movie.
Yeah.
But like, where it succeeds at being a Halloween film, sometimes it fails at being a horror film. Yeah. Like I think the prime example of this is our main antagonist. I kind of hesitate there saying main antagonist, because in a way he is, but in another way he's kind of not.
Yeah.
Because he's not all that involved in most of the stories except for one.
Yeah.
Or two. You could argue two.
Well, you could argue a few, technically, because he is always, like, there.
Yeah, but he doesn't, like, he actively participates in one and arguably two.
Yeah. Yeah, well, technically.
But, two. Like, Sam is really cool. And I love his
character design is flawless.
His omniscient presence in this film. Him just being around all the time. Super creepy and super cool.
Sam is the Santa Claus we deserve for Halloween.
Really cool character.
That's what I feel.
But his biggest strength is also his biggest downfall. He's too cute. He's way too cute. I'm not scared of Sam.
Though, I don't know. When he takes his mask off...
He's still cute when he takes his mask off. I still find him cute. He's like a Halloween baby or something.
But I like the kid look. I think that was such a strong
look to go with. I think his design is perfect in the sense of, like, it's a Halloween design. Yeah. But as far as a horror film, I'm not scared of you.
The reanimated dead bus kids, though.
Oh, where Sam fails at being scary, the reanimated dead bus kids are fucking terrifying.
Super scary.
Like, I told you this before. Something about, like, reanimated, vengeful Halloween children, like, that's scary in and of itself. Yeah. And them using their shackles to the bus as a weapon.
Yeah.
Also very creative. Also, like, not only are they, like, vengeful child spirits, that in and of itself is fucking terrifying. Because kids adult spirits will just fucking kill you. Yeah. Child spirits will play with their food.
Yeah.
Like, they will mess with you. Like, they're not cut and dry, like, I'm gonna murder you. They're gonna fucking mess with you first. Because they see you more as a plaything than a victim. Yeah. And I love that. That's absolutely fucking terrifying. So not only are they vengeful child spirits, but they're also mentally ill, vengeful child spirits. So that adds another level to the terrifying factor of, like, they also can't, like, they couldn't rationalize things in real life. How are they going to rationalize things in the afterlife?
Yeah,
like, they're fucking terrifying.
It's super spooky, scary. In general, there's some good. There are scary things to be seen in this film, and good moments to be seen. But it does.
I wish they were as present as Sam was, because they're the scariest thing about the film.
Yeah, that would have been great to see more of them. Which is going to kind of bring me to what my grade for this film is going to be. I'm going to be giving it an 8.
I'm going to have to agree with you on this one.
Yeah.
8. It's an 8 for me.
It's an 8 because I can't make it a 9 or a 10 due to the fact that it is solely a Halloween film. Yeah. I want to because it's a great...
Its greatest strength, as we keep saying, is its greatest weakness.
Which means that everyone should be watching this Halloween. It's a good film to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Michael Dougherty did a fantastic job writing and directing this film.
And hopefully to see more work from these people who are doing Krampus.
Absolutely. I'm excited for Krampus as a result of Trick or Treat.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So yeah, that's going to be an 8 out of 10 for us, and that's going to be our podcast, episode 4 or 5. Oh wow, 5 episodes now.
Absolutely.
Awesome stuff.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at that. I've been Kayman Coons.
I've been Owen Ziegler.
And y'all have a great night.